What's up, everybody? So, I was supposed to be doing a video on Mercari, but unfortunately, I screwed up my YouTube channel and I won't be able to upload new videos aside from videos through my phone for like 3 days, for 72 hours. This is just because I moved from a personal Gmail account over to a brand account. Doesn't really matter to you guys. But today I want to talk to you about intelligence, because this is something I've kind of loosely hinted at, but I haven't really extrapolated, so I want to explore this concept. Because there's this really common misconception that most of the people that I interact with have about intelligence. People tend to perceive that there are smart people and dumb people. And while that is true to a point, like humans do have varying degrees of intelligence, the reality is that as a human being, even a relatively dumb human being, you are vastly more intelligent than any other species on this planet. You have the ability to change your environment. Most entities, most organisms, can only change their environment by like walking around, getting lucky. They are at the mercy of the world, right? A human being has the ability to understand a direction it wants to go in and put itself around people, other humans, in an environment going in that direction. We have this huge degree of control over our environments compared to anything else. And this is inherently what gives us our intelligence, right? Because as a human, you only are as smart as you need to be based on your environment, essentially. And the way that you think is going to affect your intellect. If you view the world as something that happens to you, you are not going to be as intellectual as a person over time. And inherently, this is one of the dangers in so much like laborious work, because we as humans replicate patterns over and over and over again. That's essentially what we do, and we can wiggle things a little bit, but really we are just these pattern machines, right? So if you are regularly, for most of your time, in an environment where you cannot use your brain to influence problems in front of you and obstacles, such as in a very intense, like labor-intensive job or something really repetitive, something really redundant, then you become used to being detached from the problems in front of you, right? Whereas if you're like a self-employed person or you're a boss, you own the business, whatever, then everything in front of you is something that you can influence and change. So this inherently allows you to interact with things much more often and thus make you more intelligent. Essentially, intelligence comes from being able to enjoy doing something. If you can find joy in things, you essentially do them longer, more often. You become more used to it, and you also draw other people towards you. And that is the kind of the root of getting really good at anything, is about learning to enjoy it. Willpower only goes so far. If you can actively learn to enjoy something, figure out ways to find joy in whatever it is that you're working on and have fun, then you're going to learn really, really quickly. Unfortunately, most people, when they're trying to learn, they're not actually trying to learn. What they're trying to do is to be perceived as good by other people, right? And this is where ego comes in and how it gets in the way of learning. Most people, when we get into something, we're getting into it for the wrong reason. We're getting into it to impress a specific person or whatever. And we just want somebody to think for a moment that we're good at this or whatever. We want other people to feel that way. And so we want to be able to do a fancy trick, or to be able to show a screenshot of how much money we're earning, or to be able to like get mentioned by a famous person as being the best, you know? Like, the reality is that desire doesn't lead to actual talent and experience and intellect. That leads to ego and frustration and giving up. What you want in order to really get good at something is to learn to enjoy it. If you can do that, And you just focus on that. Just focus on, okay, how do I have fun? What way can I enjoy interacting with this subject matter? What makes it interesting to me and exciting? And if you just focus on being able to enjoy whatever it is you're trying to learn, then you will become incredibly intellectual about it and smart and talented. But you have to be able to focus on finding that joy, finding that interest. That's the easiest way to get good at something. If you don't go down that route, then you're essentially eternally using willpower to force yourself to do something that you don't really feel like you want to do. And eventually you get to some arbitrary goal that mattered for a while because you want to hit your goal, but then you hit that goal and you got to make something else up. It's not a cyclical, a very clean cycle, right? Whereas when you learn to enjoy and to love something, one, if you increase the chance of you meeting and interacting with other humans who are interested in whatever it is you're interested in, suddenly your chance of things working out just goes exponentially higher. Like humans, we are incredibly social creatures. And it's easy to think like, oh no, I'm introverted. I'm not like that. I'm not human. But if you're watching this video, you are intensely affected by other people. Not because you're watching this video, but because you're a human. That's inherent in our nature. And as humans, it's very easy to compare ourselves to one another and be like, oh, my friends are all so much more social. I am not a social person. I don't agree with that. But the reality is, compared to an ant, you're an incredibly social person. And if you want to change your life, and then you meet somebody who does that in the way that you want, and you interact with them, or you're like trying to get into drop shipping, or you're trying to get into skateboarding, or you're trying to get into, I don't know, like Spanish or anything. These are all obviously I just projected all that out, right? But no matter what it is you're trying to do, if you find joy in it, you essentially guarantee you're going to learn more about it because you like it, you enjoy it. Ideally, what you want is for whatever you're trying to learn to become a coping mechanism. That's ideal. Screw drinking too much or like gambling or any of that. You want like practicing guitar or skateboarding or posting listings to be how you cope with the traumas in life, right? So that, again, goes with the finding joy, finding interest, that kind of stuff. It's going to be good for you personally, and also the second that you attract somebody towards you who is interested in the same thing, then boom, that can change your life even if it never works out. Like, you'd be amazed. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.